Let's go with the AI race is over. I doubt it, but let's see. What's the argument to be made here?
In hundreds of millions of users. Their chatbot, Bard, couldn't stop hallucinating. Google search was telling people to eat rocks, and they even had to roll back their image model after it generated some controversial stuff. To put it mildly, things were not looking good for Google. But fast forward to today, and it's a very different story.
OpenAI declaring code red as the AI race intensifies.
To be honest, I think saying that the AI is a menace, that the AI is, try to avoid being deleted and all these messages that they're trying to put out is just marketing to make it seem that it's more powerful than what it really is. Because how stupid should you be to know that this is happening with the models that you have right now? And you want to build $100 billion data center to run bigger models on it? What do you think is going to happen? This is going to be aggravated. It makes absolutely no sense that if it was true, they would do that.
Very different story.
OpenAI declaring code red as the AI race intensifies.
Shares of Alphabet hitting all-time highs today, fueled by its launch of the new AI model, Gemini 3.
An agreement would help establish Google's chips as a rival to the industry's best-selling AI accelerator made by NVIDIA.
In November 2025, Google released Gemini 3, its most powerful language model yet, and it was so much better than GPT-5 that, in response, OpenAI declared a code red. That's what's been making most of the headlines lately. But here's the thing. Gemini 3 isn't just a threat to OpenAI. Google is now competing with NVIDIA, Oracle, Microsoft, Meta, AMD, basically every AI company you could name, and they're doing it in a way that no other company possibly could. The more I research this, the more it starts to look like no matter what happens in AI going forward, Google is going to win. But to understand why, you have to go back to when Google's AI strategy was still a complete mess. Funny thing is, it wasn't even that long ago. Let's go back to 2020, before all of this AI stuff happened. At the time, Google was in the middle of one of the most important trials in its history. The US government had accused them of illegally monopolizing the search advertising market, and the jury actually found them guilty. It even looked like Google would be forced to spin off Chrome and Android into their own separate companies.
Yeah, that was a little scary for Alphabet.
Never happened. You see, when this case began, there was really no credible threat to Google's search monopoly. But then, in November 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT as a small experiment. We all know what happens next. 2 months later, ChatGPT had 100 million users, and the entire tech landscape
That's
was pivoting to
impressive.
focus on AI. Now, at the time, everyone was saying this was a massive threat to Google. The company's main profit driver was, and still is, search ads. They make more than $100 billion from it every year.
Yeah, but since all these LLMs came out, this revenue share drop drastically.
But when compared to a Google search, most of the time, ChatGPT was just better. Its responses were more nuanced.
Oof. Okay, I just want to say my quote again. So, ChatGPT is an expert at 100% of the things that I don't know, and he's only 40% right about the things I do know. I'm not gonna think about it too much.
Personalized, and since you could just talk to it instead of trying to use the right keywords, it was much more intuitive all around. As you can imagine, this put Google in kind of an awkward spot. On the one hand, if they did build an AI product, it would compete directly with search and threaten their biggest source of revenue. But on the other hand, they couldn't afford not to build one. AI was the future and they had to be a part of it. So by
Yeah, AI would be the future if it was really AI they're working on, but this is still a misnomer, and I dislike it a whole bunch.
2024, when the judge overseeing Google's case had to decide what to do, AI had completely changed the nature of search. Ultimately, the judge decided against breaking them up because, think about it, yeah, Google was guilty of monopolizing search, but now that entire business model had competition, and Google had to do something.
And it's fine, right? Every companies they've had these type of legal issues. Microsoft as well, when it was around Netscape's time, with the Internet Explorer. Everybody does it. If you're found guilty, you pay the fines, you do the work, you wait a couple of years, and then you start all over again. It's just the price of doing business.
Something about it. Now, the truth is, they had been trying, it just didn't go well. A few months after ChatGPT came out, Google released Bard, their own chatbot. But in its demo, it hallucinated a basic fact in front of the entire world, which made Google lose over $100 billion in value. Just that.
So I think this is a pretty clear-cut example that companies' valuation right now, this is an abstract. It is disconnected from reality. It makes absolutely no sense. Why would a company lose $100 billion valuation just because of a mistake, something that you can fix like that? It's not as if they broke something. It hasn't come out yet. They're showcasing a future product, right? It's a demo.
Day. A year later, they rebranded Bard to Gemini, which now came with an image generation model. For some reason, though, it insisted on making everyone, even these guys, racially diverse. Then, when Google introduced AI overviews into search, they were telling people to eat rocks and add glue to their pizza, even that smoking while pregnant.
That was pretty wild. That was pretty wild. It was the right time to get these type of pictures. Is it okay for me to do backflips right after I broke my legs? Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
Was perfectly healthy. I mean, this wasn't good. For a company as renowned as Google, it was frankly embarrassing. People were arguing that they were simply too big and too...
So that's the thing, right? We see less and less hallucinations, but as we saw earlier, this is a built-in behavior on the way that these type of models work. So before there used to be a lot of them, there are still some hallucinations, but the thing is, if you are unable to have the expertise to understand that what you're reading right now is not right, you're not gonna know, because now it does seem like it's believable. It's less obvious than it used to be.
Too bureaucratic to move fast on AI. But looking back, it's almost as if they were waiting. Ever since Google's case ended, they've been releasing AI products left and right. Veo 3 and Nano Banana, their video and image generation tools, are now, without a doubt, the best in the market. And Gemini 3 was literally so much better than GPT-5 that OpenAI declared a code red. But this isn't even just about chatbots anymore. I mean, sure, OpenAI is in crisis mode, but you know who's also under threat? NVIDIA, Oracle, Meta, Microsoft, AMD, Anthropic, Apple. Google is now competing with all of them, and they're in a position to win, not just the individual battles, but the entire war for the AI industry itself.
Well, I'm not sure how that is gonna look out, especially considering the other video that we saw about Apple most likely avoiding the most catastrophic damages by not being able to release a proper LLM model integrated to their OS. So, I mean, if we stop moving the goalposts and we get back to working on like AGI, what it used to be called AI, as we remember it in sci-fi, I think something great could happen. But to be honest, the way that this is going, it doesn't feel like it.
You can see what I mean when you zoom out to see the entire AI stack. Basically, all of the infrastructure behind a product like Gemini or ChatGPT. Fundamentally, there are 5 main layers to it. First is hardware.
Like, why would you put so much effort into giving tools to create these videos and images to regular people, and not just put all your efforts into doing something that is useful for the government, right? Because right now they're asking to have to be subsidized by the government, and so what they're saying, what they're doing, it seems like what they're thinking, it's all a bunch of different things.
The physical device you use to access AI. Then there's the product. This is like your ChatGPT app or Google's AI overviews. Then behind those interfaces, there's the foundational model. These are your GPT-5s or your Gemini 3s. This is the actual technology. Next, those models are running inside data centers, big warehouses filled with advanced chips that do all the computation. And finally, there's the design of those chips, which is the last layer of the stack. When you look at the tech landscape right now, you can clearly see where those companies I mentioned fit in. Meta and Apple make hardware, OpenAI and Anthropic make products and foundational models, Oracle and Microsoft run data centers, and NVIDIA and AMD design the chips.
Yeah, Oracle has data centers. Microsoft uses CoreWeave's data center because, as we saw, Microsoft and they don't want to bear the most risk. That's why they're offloading that to those other companies.
The difference with Google is that they don't specialize in any one layer of the stack. They cover everything, and this vertically integrated approach is what makes them so dangerous. Right now, we are just barely starting to see Google's absolute dominance in AI. But the truth
I'm not sure about that because they're Google contracts. Are they doing it themselves? Next, there are Google accelerate U.S. data center build out with new deals. U.S. utility Nextra Energy has expanded its partnership with Alphabet's Google Cloud to build new energy supplies for the company's operation across the U.S. As part of a new deal, the companies will develop multiple new large-scale data center campuses in the US that will be built with new power plants. They did not specify how much extra capacity would be added or financial details to the agreement. I might be wrong, but I think I remember that Google is also offloading some of the risk to other data centers, but I think I might be wrong.
Truly grasp just how superior their position is, we have to take their strategy apart layer by layer and see how everything fits together. So let's go through it from the bottom to the top. Starting with chip design, the company you know for this is NVIDIA. They're now the world's most valuable company because pretty much every single one of the world's most advanced large language models is trained and run on chips that they design.
And so this is most likely going to secure NVIDIA's future in the AI ecosystem, unless Amazon and Anthropic, they're able to demonstrate that the approach that they're using would be more efficient. But are these the chips? Anyways, they're not using GPUs for the new data centers for AWS cloud. So yeah, NVIDIA is using. It seems like they're using these webs of contracts to secure the existence of the company. Because if it's easily demonstrable by everybody's efforts trying different approaches with a different type of hardware, then NVIDIA would cease to exist almost immediately. It would crash and burn.
Design, or at least that was until Gemini 3. See, Google also designs chips. They just do it a little differently than NVIDIA. For starters, NVIDIA's main chips are GPUs, graphics processing units.
TPUs. They also use, yeah.
TPUs, where the T stands for tensor. Without
my bad.
getting too much into the science here. GPUs and TPUs are both just computer chips. Fundamentally, what they do is math. The difference is that GPUs are great at a bunch of different kinds of math, whereas TPUs are specifically built to do tensor math, the kind that powers AI. What was groundbreaking about Gemini 3 was that not only was it better than every other model at the time, it was trained exclusively with Google's TPUs. Gemini 3 is proof that NVIDIA is no longer the only company making AI chips at the cutting edge, and this is a massive threat to them. Google's TPUs are at least on par with theirs, and they literally just announced that they plan to double production by 2028. But unfortunately for NVIDIA, it gets even worse. Up until very recently, Google was only building TPUs so that they could rent them out through Google Cloud, but now they're competing even more directly with NVIDIA by selling them outright. They just cut a deal to sell 1 million TPUs to Anthropic, and there's also rumors that they may be selling them to Meta and OpenAI too. Those are some of NVIDIA's biggest customers. Google is literally breaking their monopoly, which is why naturally their stocks are going in opposite directions. Now, this is already a fantastic
Yeah, I don't know about opposite.
position for Google to be in. They're joining the market that made NVIDIA the world's most valuable company. But remember, this is only the first layer of the AI stack, so let's see how it all connects. The second layer is data centers. In case you didn't know, this is the main way companies like Oracle and Microsoft are playing the AI game. LLMs need a lot of computation, so what they do is build entire warehouses, usually filled with NVIDIA chips, and then they rent them out to companies like OpenAI to train and run their models. Again, Google does this too. It's their cloud service. But the difference is, they make their own chips, and that makes it a fundamentally different business. Think about it. Microsoft and Oracle are in a pretty tough spot. Not only do they have to pay the markup for NVIDIA's chips, but between construction, equipment, and
there are no markups. There are no markups. NVIDIA is paying the other companies that they have discounts. The construction is going to be secured by CoreWeave. So I'm not too sure about this part.
Energy costs, their margins become razor thin.
This is going to be offloaded as well to the population that's going to be living around the data centers.
On the other hand, Google's situation is completely different. Because they design their own chips, they don't have to pay NVIDIA. They just eat the cost. But more importantly, they can custom design their chips, their hardware, and their infrastructure.
They're still going to pay the markups that Samsung and Micron are going to put on the memory cards.
To work together perfectly. And just think about what happens when you do that. Everything becomes more efficient, especially when it comes to energy. The result is that Google can run its cloud service at a fraction of the cost of what Microsoft or Oracle can. And it works out beautifully. You know, back when ChatGPT came out, everyone was...
I don't know how that comes into play if they're trying to get the government to back those projects and absorb some of the costs. So I mean, I don't think they really care about how it's gonna look.
The AI bump ago. To say.
So the question is, how long does a chip remain on the frontier? Is it 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or even longer?
The way she's walking around the pot is akin to children asking for money to their parents to go to the movies. It's pretty weird how it's awkward, because she knows and she understands that this is such a big pill to swallow that she's having a hard time saying the words and not sounding like a total piece of shit.
Now, in a world where we have no compute, or we're compute constrained, We are absolutely using
We're not. We're not. Just stop dedicating all the resources to that stupid ass project.
chips that are like A100 equivalents that have been around like maybe 6-7 years at this point in time. If that's the case, financing chips gets a lot easier. If the timeline on the chip stays short, that gets harder. And so this is where we're looking for.
If we can hold on to our hardware for longer, we get a better amortization, obviously. But now you're saying that because the technology goes so fast, you're going to have to do it more often.
An ecosystem of banks, private equity, maybe even governmental ways governments can come to bear.
Meaning like a federal subsidy or something?
Meaning like just first of all, the backstop, the guarantee.
Oh, yeah, I do not want to use those words, but I'm going to describe exactly that, right?
Federal subsidy or something?
Meaning like just first of all, the backstop, the guarantee that allows the financing to happen.
So allow me to.
What the fuck does that even mean? Ah, Jesus.
Was talking about how much of a threat AI was to search, but what I think we all underestimate.
Allegedly, it's not a threat to search anymore. It's a threat to Facebook because the business model is to keep you on the platform as opposed to a Google search. When you used to search something on the web, you would go to the results, so you would leave the website. But ChatGPT and all of these models, they want to keep you on the website. That's why they're gonna start integrating stuff into the platform. So you're gonna have Spotify integration in ChatGPT. They said that they're gonna be able to produce lists for you, playlists of music. But what seems pretty odd to me is that I don't think that this here connects directly to your Spotify account. Maybe I'm wrong. If it's able to create that list inside of your account, there is some benefit to it. But to be honest, I don't see the point into having these types of integrations. It is just another way that they're using to shove it everywhere that they can. Not impressed.
Was how beneficial it would be to Google Cloud. Right now, their sales are growing at an annual rate of 30%, and it's now nearly 20% of Google's revenue. And when it actually comes to AI, well, they figured that one out as well. The next layer of the AI stack is foundational models like Gemini 3, GPT-5, also VO3, Sora, that kind of stuff. Now, at the start, OpenAI had a clear lead here. GPT 3.5, the first model ChatGPT shipped with, was revolutionary. And by the time they released GPT-4, everyone else was still catching up to them. But GPT-5 was different. To a lot of people, it felt less like a breakthrough and more like a minor upgrade. Plus, by this point, OpenAI's lead was gone. Google's video and image generation models were already much better than OpenAI's. And in November 2025, they released Gemini 3, which outperformed GPT-5 on basically every benchmark you could imagine. Now, OpenAI did just release GPT 5.2 this week, as I'm recording, and from what I'm reading, it is competitive with Gemini. But ultimately, if you zoom out, both OpenAI and Google are going to continue improving their models long into the future. The way I see it, whatever.
Yeah, they improve it against one another. But if you work in an office, if you have like a Microsoft 365 license, and you've seen those integrations into the software that you use daily, I'm pretty sure you can tell that it's a bunch of shit and it's pretty much worthless, you know? Where is like the magical integration of having something intelligent, you know? There's absolutely no intelligence here. This is a stupid ass product shoved down everybody's throat because they want to make it work. They have to make it work. If it doesn't work, it's gonna all crash and burn because they have spent so much money, so much more money than VR, so much money than IoT. I mean, it's just going to be a big expense, a big stupid mistake that we're all going to have to pay for. because everybody's gonna have to subsidize these companies, as we always do.
Benchmarks they break on any given Tuesday isn't really what's important. What matters is this. This is a graph of the Gemini app's monthly active users, and now you see why OpenAI declared a code red. The real leverage in AI is in owning the product, and this brings us to the next.
All right, so I do understand that there might be like this competition between adoption, but you know, there's a thing. So there's a word there. All right, there's a oh my god. Oh, okay, genericization. Eponyms. All right, that's the word I'm looking for. So, you know, instead of most people, because they've seen so much ads, and you know, that's how culturally everybody refers to it. Instead of saying tissues, you know, can you give me a Kleenex? But this, you know, Kleenex is the name of the brand. But Chat GPT already has that. You know, nobody is gonna say, "Hey, can I Gemini that?" But people already say Chat GPT instead of referring to Claude or to other LLM models, because this is the first one, is the one that everybody knows. So they all already have this like marketing. They're ahead a little bit because of that. I don't know how they're going to be, how Gemini is going to be able to reverse that trend, but it's getting ingrained in everybody's head that, you know, it's Chat GPT, that is the one, you know, unless it just crashes and burns and disappears. I think he's still going to keep that place up front.
Layer for this new product category, which I guess is called a chatbot. OpenAI and Google are really the two most viable competitors. Only nerds use Claude or DeepSeek. Right now, ChatGPT is getting close to 900 million weekly active users, which is freaking insane. Gemini, by comparison, has 650 monthly active users, but it's growing very fast. See, these apps are still in the process of going completely mainstream, and both Google and OpenAI stand to gain a lot from ads whenever they decide to turn them on. The only reason they haven't done this yet is because the way these things...
They can't properly monetize it inside of the chat and have it still be real. What are you gonna do as soon as you get the same type of result as you used to get with AdSense and Google search? You're gonna have like these different links at the top always. People are gonna stop, you know, trusting these chatbots. People are so open with them right now, and they pour their hearts to them because they have a feeling that it's normal, it's human, there's a connection. But as soon as you're going to start shoving ads in there, you're going to lose that, and it most likely is going to affect the relationship of the users with these types of services. So most likely the ones that do not have these types of ads are going to survive. I'm thinking like subscription services like Replica. They most likely are going to thrive if they keep the relationship aspect the number one priority.
Work is they become better over time as they get to know you, and once they do, it's very hard to switch. That's why Google...
It doesn't get better over time. If it was, you would not need to retrain models or train new models with new information. There's a marketing tactic to make you feel that it does remember. So you have you have a file, you have a dedicated file where you put information and it's going to load this information. And so this is giving more context to each of your sessions, but that does not mean that the LLM model is going to remember that. If it were to really remember it, you would not need to write it down for it to read it every single freaking time that it opens up a new chat context with you.
They're doing everything they can to steal each other's users. If they don't do it now, it's gonna be too late. Now, you might very well argue that dethroning ChatGPT will be immensely difficult.
I think so.
Google. And you might be right. But again, when you zoom out to see the bigger picture, Google still crushes
The bigger picture is that none of this works.
OpenAI on the product layer. Their weakness and Google's biggest strength is that chatbots aren't the only product that matters. OpenAI has...
That's the thing. If it was really like this intelligent, this powerful, they wouldn't focus on all of these consumer-facing aspect of the products. They would just focus to business, to cater to business consumers or government entities, the same as these hardware companies are doing right now. If it's more profitable, we have the confirmation right now, they're not even going to think about it twice. NVIDIA was put on the map because of gamers, and it's turning its back on gamers. And they're saying that they were never a gaming company. So I mean, you can get your conclusions from that.
ChatGPT and Sora, but apart from Gemini, Google has Chrome, Gmail, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Search, Maps, Calendar.
This is stupid to count all of these as different products. So most of these products are bundled, and people use them most likely if they use Google Workspace. So the enterprise version of Google, like Gmail and everything. But otherwise, I know almost nobody, unless you're like a broke student and you don't have your you don't have a Microsoft Office license. People are going to use the Google Docs, but I don't know anybody that uses like what's here.
Google has Chrome, Gmail, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Search, Maps, Calendar, Meet, Photos, YouTube.
Meet, Photos. That's stupid. So I don't know.
That matters. OpenAI has ChatGPT and Sora, but apart from Gemini, Google has Chrome, Gmail, Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, Search, Maps, Calendar, Meet, Photos, YouTube, Android, and the list goes on. This ecosystem is something
yeah, but
no other company on earth can compete with. I mean, maybe Apple if they got their shit together. And Google, in some form or another, is making AI a part of it. Once you're using it, which, I mean, if you use Gmail or Google Docs, you will, switching to anything else is going to become incredibly difficult. And so just to put the final nail
I doubt it.
on the coffin, let's look at the last layer, hardware. The main way most people access AI right now is through our phones, and you guessed it, Google does this too. They have the Pixel line, which is getting more and more popular every year. But apart from this, they're also going to be releasing their own AI-powered glasses soon. And look, I have my doubts, but if the tech bros are to be believed, this is going to be the next big computing platform. If it is, you better believe Google is going to be leading the charge. So that's the whole AI stack, and you can see now how Google has positioned itself at every level. Right now, we're just getting our first glimpse into Google's absolute dominance in AI, and it all stems
I don't think so, man. Everybody's trying their hardest. Everybody's trying their best to do this exact same shit. I'm not sure that that's how it's gonna end up.
From the fact that they're completely vertically integrated. It's a structural advantage that I just don't see any other company replicating. Plus, let's not forget that Google is Google. They've been a machine learning company since the 1990s. They have one of the best AI research teams on the planet. And of course, they have that Google money.
Also, machine learning is another mumbo jumbo from tech.
Honestly, the speed with which they're launching new AI products and integrating them into their ecosystem right now is astounding. They're constantly making...
Yes, that just means that if everything goes to shit, they're just gonna implode because they have so much integration, and I don't think that's gonna be good. Can you imagine right now? So if you have OpenAI that's losing 11.5 billions in the last quarter with $20 and $200 subscriptions, because people, instead of using the answer, and have like just a snippet, they ask to redo the whole code every single time. It just takes so much computing, and this is redundant. So if you have that happening through all your services, it's just going to augment the frequency that people do repetitive, pointless tasks. That's going to cost you so much. So I can just imagine what it would look like with $100 billion data center with these types of models integrated in almost every service.
New stuff. Like I just saw this disco thing in the live translation. And yeah, well, some of you may be thinking, well, what about the AI bubble? Fair, but it just doesn't seem to be affecting them. A lot of the companies I've talked about today have seen their stocks slow down because of all this AI bubble talk. But Google has been on an absolute tear. They're nearing a $4 trillion valuation. And I mean, even Warren Buffett invested. At the end of the day, if AI is going to change the...
I mean, it's not too far off, but at the speed that these are going, and the screenshots are from November, the news are going too fast on this in this domain.
The world like everybody says it will, then it's hard to make an argument that there's a better horse in this race than Google, and that's if there was ever even a race to begin with. So what do you think? Is there any AI company that can play on Google's level? Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you.
I think they're all there.
Thanks for watching.
Amazon is right there. Microsoft too. I mean, they're all trying their best, so I think they're all there. That was a good video.